Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up this screen. All right, we've got plenty to talk about today. Stetson Bennett, two-time national champion, has been arrested for public intoxication, of all things. And on top of that, Georgia's losing their offensive coordinator. On the positive end, the Vols beat Texas. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We might even talk about Alabama trying to find an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. This is coordinator time. All right, let's start out with Stetson Bennett getting arrested for public intoxication in Dallas. What a dummy. What a big dummy.
You big dummy. You're a big dummy there.
What a dumb trick. Says Stetson Bennett, former Georgia quarterback, two-time national championship, was arrested Sunday morning in Dallas on a charge of public drunkenness. The officers were dispatched and he was banging on doors at 6 a.m. local time. They found the 25-year-old, determined he was intoxicated, and arrested him. There are no details about where they found him, etc., other than he was banging on people's doors. And the only thing I can figure, he was in Texas, so he was probably going around trying to make sure that everybody in Texas knew that they had beaten TCU by 63-7 or whatever that score was. And he just wanted to make sure that there were the few people that didn't know it, that they needed to know it. Can you imagine that? Running around knocking on doors at 6 a.m.? So anyway, it says after Bennett was arrested, he was taken to a city lockup, reported that he was released about 11 a.m., so he got out pretty quick. Oh, it was 65-7. That's what he probably wanted to make sure everybody in Texas knew, it was 65-7 when they won. So anyway, I guess he's still partying, enjoying that national championship. But at some point, he's 25 years old. He's not 18. He needs to get himself together a little bit. But we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully he doesn't turn out to be another Johnny Manziel, one of those party boys that has to, live it up. But, we'll see how that plays out. Not a good move on his part. And on top of that, Georgia, it looks like they're going to have to find another offensive coordinator because Todd Monken seems to be heading out. He's been interviewing all over the NFL. And it says here, reality is hitting hard at Georgia, where it has become clear the so-called end game for Todd Monken is not serving out the rest of his career at Georgia. And even though Monken is the highest paid coordinator in the country at $2.1 million, and he could even, get more, and that may be part of why he's doing this, but I think he's leaving. Monken is kind of a journeyman. He's moved a lot during his career, and I don't think he likes sitting at one place. He's kind of a Lane Kiffin, I think. But anyway, he's been going around to different places. He's been to Baltimore and tried out there for offensive coordinator position, and also Tampa Bay. It says Monken is a mercenary with no interest in smelling the roses or enjoying the downtown restaurant scene. Said Monken's respected and admired, and he's earned the guru status, even though he winces when referred to as such. He said sometimes SHIT just works. He said things might have gotten tense between Monken and Stetson Bennett, but he's got 3 returning quarterbacks who love Monken, and now they may be reevaluating their future plans. They may end up leaving. And that could happen because understand, this is not a situation like the Vols had where Josh Heupel is the offense. And yeah, we lost our offensive coordinator because they were so successful, but he hired from within because it's still the exact same offense. That's not going to be the case in Georgia. See, Georgia's defense is Kirby's defense. So if they lose a defensive coordinator, no big deal. But if they lose the offensive coordinator, and Monken was really good, he increased their production by 10 points a game when he came on. They went from 31 points a game to 41 points a game. So he was a big player in that house. So it's a problem. It definitely is. And I was actually listening to Uncle Lou. He was really upset about it. He wouldn't even show his face. He just showed the picture of Monken. And I think he was kind of tore up about it. But Georgia fans are concerned, and rightfully so, because that offense was pretty darn good. And one of the things Monken talked about, they were actually talking about his relationship with Kirby Smart. He said, let's not kid ourselves about what we do. I'm paid to score points and run the offense. And that relationship only goes so far. I don't want it any different. He's my boss. My job is to work my butt off and for us to be good as we can on offense. The moment I don't see it that way is the moment I'm wrong. And so this will be a business decision for Monken. Should he go to the NFL or should he return? He said, I've done organizations where this is family, this isn't family, etc. He said, if you're going to fire me, if we suck, so don't say it's a family. This is the way it is. So this guy's hardcore. He's like, look, you can talk all this family crap you want. Second, I'm not scoring points for you. You're going to put me out on the street. So he's obviously looking for the next bed of roses. And he's not seeing it there at Georgia, which surprises me. So even though they look, they're on top of the world right now, won 2 national titles. But I'll tell you what, losing that offensive coordinator is a big deal. And they need to find one that's equally qualified and just as good. And that's not going to be easy to do because Monken's well known for his offensive guru-ness. And they got the same problem in Alabama. See, remember, Alabama lost 2 games this year, one of which to us, and they have freaked out down there. Okay, they have fired their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. And they're trying to bring Jeremy Pruitt back in, which I don't know how they're going to do that with the NCAA probe going on. I mean, if he gets hit with a show cause and all that, that makes it really tricky. So they're trying to get Pruitt down there as a defensive coordinator, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to pull that off or not. We'll see. I mean, it is Nick Saban. He can kind of click his fingers and the NCAA comes running. But as far as offensive coordinator, they're in the same boat. They don't have one. And that's an important position. So you've got Georgia, who could lose some of their quarterbacks. Now you got Alabama that needs both. And Tennessee's just floating on down the river just fine. That's why paying Josh Heupel that money was important and getting him locked in long term. And I think we'll be happy that we did. Now let's understand something. I'm not going to make anybody happy in Georgia and Alabama talking about all this stuff, but, I don't think we're necessarily friends anyway.
Ed, if I thought you weren't my friend, I just don't think I could bear it.
That's right. All right, folks, now we're going to talk about Vols basketball, something real positive. As you can see, we beat them by 11 points. The game really wasn't in reach for Texas for most of the game once we got up over 10. And we had some guys play really, really well. Olivier scored 27 points, which was a career high. Ziegler had 22 points. He played fantastic. Those 2 guys dominated. James played really well. He had 14 points. Vescovi, before he fouled out, scored 12. So, our big guys were really playing well in there. Phillips, he scored 4 points, but he only shot a few times. And then Awaka, who's the guy I really think is going to be a great player long term, he was only in for 3 minutes, but he scored and got 2 rebounds because when he's in there, he's efficient. But I think he's pretty much takes Olivier's position when he's out, and there was no point in bringing Olivier out of the game because, man, he was on fire. He was filling it up, and he was feeling it. And when a guy's on a ride like that and he's in the zone, just let him go. Just let him keep going. And Texas tried to come back, but, man, at one point they were down over 20 points. And that Thompson Bowling Arena, that's tough. The crowd was on fire. I mean, they did a great job. And I think Rick Barnes wanted that victory pretty badly since we lost that really tough one down there in Texas last year by 1 point. So I think he was pretty pleased to get that victory. And they had one guy that scored quite a few points, Rice, and they started scoring there in the second half. They wound up shooting 44%. They only had 28 points in the first half, and they're a high-scoring team, but our defense was really sticking tight to them, and they were struggling to score. But they did score some in the second half. And like I say, they were down over 20 at one time, and they brought it down to about 10, but they never got any closer than that. So needless to say, things are going really well for the Vols. I mean, our football team, we know how well they did this year, playing a New Year's Six Bowl, winning that 11-2, number 6 in the country. Now our basketball team will probably move to number 3. They're at number 4 right now, but Alabama got beat. They got beat kind of pretty badly by Oklahoma. So we'll move to number 3 almost certainly there, moving our way towards number 1. We'll see if that plays out. And then the baseball team, they're just fantastic. Last year's baseball team was amazing, and this year looks like they're going to be just as good. They're currently ranked number 2, and I think that's justifiable. I'm telling you, the Vols, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Vols.
That's an attention getter.
That's right. We got everybody's attention now in all 3 major sports. So I couldn't be more pleased. Anyway, Stetson, get your crap together. Don't be doing that. You got a good future in front of you. Probably get drafted in the 3rd or 4th round and be a good backup, or who knows, man. He might be the next Drew Brees. You never know. But you got to stay out of trouble. Don't be Johnny Manziel. All right, folks, I just wanted to go over all those things. I thought that victory against Texas was really big and important, especially as far as being in front of that national crowd for game day, ESPN's game day. And Georgia's got some issues. They're on top of the world right now, but it's hard to stay there sometimes. And Alabama, we'll see what they do, if they get Jeremy Pruitt or not. They still got to get a coordinator, but, we'll see how it plays out. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols and the SEC. If you've not subscribed, it's right here on the left, this little button right here. Just boom, Doesn't cost you a penny, and it helps me out. I appreciate it. A lot of you watch my video, you don't hit that little button. And right over here to my right, YouTube puts a video right there. It's a pretty popular one. It's my most recent one. It's pretty funny, actually. Be sure to check that out. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.